Well, the Sharks run into a hot and wild, definitely not mild Minnesota team tonight, and they kept it. They got it interesting in the third, but the end result went to Minnesota. We'll talk about this game. We'll talk about black jerseys. We'll talk about a former Shark going into the Hockey Hall of Fame. Maybe a Hockey Hall of Fame. Let's talk right now. This is Teal Town After Dark. Good evening, everyone. It is December 9th, 2021. The Sharks lose to the Minnesota Wild 5-2, and we welcome you to this edition of Teal Town After Dark. This is your live interactive Sharks postgame. We do this after every game, so if you want to be part of the show, chat with us and fellow Sharks fans on the page or the app. Follow us on the social, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Also, don't forget your SoundCloud, Reddit, and Discord, and find everything at tealtownusa.com. Good evening, everyone. Alongside Ian Reed, I am Eric Currat. Ian, not the best game for the Sharks this evening.
No, I think if you look at this team, this is a team that's kind of got itself into trouble in its last two, and one game it turned around and they were able to figure it out, and they were able to win the game, and this one they weren't. I don't know. I'm incredibly, I'm not mad at this game, and I'm not happy with it either.
It's more than a meh game. It's more like a game, you know?
Like I'm whelmed. I'm not underwhelmed. I'm not overwhelmed. I'm just whelmed.
Let's put that in quotes. I'm just whelmed.
Yeah, just whelmed.
Yeah. So, I mean, it wasn't like the Minnesota Wild were coming into this game winners of 7 in a row. That doesn't help things, but the Sharks had a victory the other night, beating the Flames, Pacific Division leading Flames on Tuesday night. So we get into this early on. I thought Minnesota dictated the play a bit, and unfortunately the Sharks had some penalty troubles in this one. Despite John Merrill taking a penalty in minute 47 in, Sharks couldn't do anything on the power play. But unfortunately for Jake Middleton, this was a tough night for him as he takes his first of 3 penalties on the night. But that was in the second period. The first period is what I wanted to talk about. Yeah, there we go. Kevin Fiala with the bang home rebound there. He makes it 1-0 on his 4th of the year.
Yeah, I mean, the Wild came out to play. I think they showed why they are on the run that they're on. I mean, they're a good team. They're a surprisingly good team this year, especially leading the Central, which I don't think I saw coming before the season started. I thought the Central was going to be kind of a gauntlet, but I didn't expect to see the Wild up front. But they've been really, really good of late, and I think they showed that through most of this game, where I thought they dictated the play and dictated the pace of the game. And yeah, I mean, they took it to the Sharks tonight, and that's where it started for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Minnesota seemed like I said, they tended to have the first period easily. I mean, yeah, Fiala gets that goal to make it 1-0. But I thought the Sharks started to turn it on a little bit at the end there. Getting the last 5 shots. I mean, they were getting manhandled big time, but they were able to get the last 5 shots. Plus, throw in Kevin Labank's post shot, which would have changed a lot of things for sure. Let's talk about Kevin Labanc really quick. He was in the doghouse. He got scratched on Tuesday. I thought he kind of bounced back a little bit tonight with his effort. And
yeah, I feel like Labanc's so tricky, right? Because I feel like he's not always put in a position to succeed, in my opinion. But no, I thought he was noticeably better than he has been of late. You know, and obviously getting look, no one wants to get scratched. Yet, you know, guys are proud. They don't want to get scratched. They don't want to be in the doghouse. I don't think this game is gonna, you know, remove him from the doghouse per se, but I thought it was a nice. I thought he played well enough considering that the coach decided to scratch him last game, and I don't think. Um, I don't know. I feel like Kevin, like, and I've said this before too, and I'm just gonna keep saying it. I just feel like Kevin Labank's time in San Jose has run its course. I think it's just a guy who needs a clean slate somewhere, and he's not gonna get it here because I don't think Bugner is going anywhere. So I don't think he's gonna get the clean slate he needs. Like I think it's just time for both parties to move on from each other. But unfortunately, you know, Kevin Labanc is under contract and his contract does have a little bit of time left on it. So that's only going to happen via trade. But I think, to me, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think Kevin Labanc is ever going to claw his way out of the doghouse. I think he could, you know, not to say, and I'm not saying that like Kevin Labanc doesn't deserve to be in the doghouse either. Like I think there's definitely been times where he's deserved to be in the doghouse. But I just think, like, you know, probably coming into the season, he probably wanted a clean slate, and I don't think he's gotten it.
Why do you think that? Because I like Grandis here saying, why has Labank's time run its course?
Because he's never gonna get a because him and Bugner are just oil and water. Like they're never. You look at the position he plays in. Like he's a guy who probably, based on what you've been throwing out, probably should be in your top six. He's been a third line guy. On this team, he should be a top six forward.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he has the
Like,
offensive talent for
I'm
that.
not, and that's not to say like I'm a huge Kevin Labanc guy. I just feel like there's been times where I feel like a guy, you know, like obviously he's injured right now, but you know, when a guy like Rudy Balcers just couldn't finish, like maybe you wonder if Kevin Labanc does in that situation, you know. I just feel like as long as Bugner's the coach, and that's going to be a long while, in my opinion. Like, I just, I don't know. I just feel like I just wonder, you know, if there's a way that you could maybe trade a problem for someone else's problem, and maybe, you know, both problems kind of solve themselves.
Yeah, and Matthew Phipps already trying to find a home for Labanc. Islanders need goal scoring, and it's his hometown. Perfect spot for him.
Yeah, again, like I'm sure there's, you know, like I'm, you know, Kevin Labanc's not my favorite player, but he's not my least favorite player either. I just think like, you know, there are there problems in his game, yeah, but it's just I don't think that he's always given the best opportunities to succeed either.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the thing is that you don't get the chances
Mm-hmm.
up top when he's there. So you know, Bugner sends him third and fourth line. Well, if you're going to be a goal scorer, if you're supposed to be this great scorer, and he was an absolute crazy scorer in the OHL.
Well, he was more of, I mean, he was more of a setup guy. Like he was a 30-80 guy, 30 goals, 80 assists, right?
But,
like he was more of a playmaker in the but he did have some finish to him, right? Up in the NHL, he hasn't really excelled at either.
He
Of late.
Of late, yeah. I mean, because he's definitely shown flashes of it, to which why he got his fancy deal after taking, you know, that nice hometown discount. But to me, I'm with you, and I know Jerk has also said the same thing. It's that you got to give these guys a chance to succeed.
Yeah, and I just feel like he's just as long as Bugner's the coach, and again, that's going to be a long while. Yeah. It's nothing's going to change. So, you know, I think you have an asset kind of rotting on the vine. It's time to, you know, I are you going to get max value for him? No, probably not. But at the same time, like I feel like Kevin Labanc's a guy you can do a hockey trade with. You can trade a problem for a problem, right? You can see a guy who maybe, you know, isn't doing well on their current team, and sometimes swaps like that work out for both players. I just feel like that's the, you know, that's the way it is.
Yeah, that's like that 1-for-1 deal that can get those things. You know, there's some people are at Grandisier and Bigberg asking, you know, your most disliked player on the active roster. I don't know if that's really fair to say, but
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't really have like a super hate on for anybody. Um,
I
maybe
don't really.
Shimmick.
Yeah, I don't either. Maybe it's in that bottom defensive pairing.
Maybe Shimmick. Like, but I don't hate Shimmick.
Meh.
I just think there's meh. Yeah, like he's just kind of meh to me. Like, I feel like, like Vlasic's kind of fallen out of favor with me for obvious reasons, but I don't hate him. I thought, if you go back to when that contract was signed, that contract really didn't bother me at the time. Now it's obviously aged like fucking milk, but it wasn't something where I was like screaming to the top of my lungs, "This is going to be the worst deal the Sharks ever signed." When they signed it,
Oh yeah.
I thought it was going to age well. So I don't know. I don't really have anyone like I super hate. I've got some players that have fallen out of favor, but I don't really have um, nothing like Martin Jones last year.
Oh jeez.
Right, like Martin Jones, like that was a player that I just
Right. No, I
despised
get that.
by the end of his run here. But I don't really, I don't know. I don't. Again, there's a lot of things in this team that just well me right now. I'm not really like, I don't know. There's some players I really like, but at the same time, like I understand where this team is.
Right.
So like, a loss like this doesn't really phase me because it's like, well, they lost to a better team.
And a good team that I think has a tiny window to go for it in Minnesota before those buyouts from Parisi and Suter really kick in for Minnesota. So that made it 1-0 after one. Then Merrill takes a penalty less than 2 minutes in. The Sharks don't do much. And this was another part that I liked of LeBanc. He draws a penalty on them, setting up a power play, which really didn't get going until the third period. And of course, you know, Anthony Sanchez, saying, why isn't LeBanc put on top of the left circle in the power play like he was earlier in the year? Kind of that Ovechkin setup.
Yeah, because I mean, again, like I've always like going back to what I said earlier about LeBanc, right? Like he was his like if you look at all his points in junior, like again, he was a 30-80 guy. Like a lot of his points came from feeding the puck to Mangiapane. I don't know. Like again, I just feel like yeah, could I feel like he could be a guy who could definitely like be a shot option or also make a decent pass out in that area.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like it's a prime spot and it's going to go to the guys that Boughner likes. And that's not Kevin LeBanc.
Well, let's put out Benino there instead, or some of some sort, So, uh, so Sharks don't get anything going on that, and then Jake Middleton, takes three consecutive penalties, two in the second period with a tripping call against Matt Zuccarello, which essentially sets up the power play goal for Minnesota with Joel Eriksson Ek, his 11th from Zuccarello and Kaprizov. For a team that's ranked 26th on the power play, they really showed flashes of how good they can really be in the second period.
Yeah, that's the one place too where I think the Sharks haven't had a ton of strengths this year, but the penalty kill's definitely been one of them. And it was just kind of bizarro world tonight, right? Like
right.
the Sharks, like what is it, second ranked power penalty kill coming into this game?
At the very least,
in
top
the NHL?
five. Yeah.
I think it was like the second ranked PK in the league coming into this game, and one of the worst power plays in the game. And that's hockey, man. I don't know what to tell you about that. Like, it's just one of those things. And I didn't, the first, the Eriksson Ek goal I didn't have a problem with. It was, I want to say it was a good deflection. Like,
yeah.
Deflections beat goalies. Like that's how you beat goalies in the NHL. Now you deflect the puck and, send it the opposite direction of where the goalie thinks it's going.
I thought Hill was just a tad bit late on that blocker, and that's how it got in for Eriksson Ek's 11th to make it 2-0 Minnesota. Then another penalty by Middleton sets up another Minnesota power play. Jordan Greenway uses his speed to get by Burns and to make it 3-0 on his third of the year from Fiala and Gologowski.
I didn't like this goal.
Yeah, tell me about it. Why wasn't this one the one you liked?
I feel like that Aiden Hill's glove is baby shit soft. Like
Wow.
it's a glaring weakness. I think if you look at like a lot of goals where Aiden Hill lets in and you're like, I don't know about that one. They've all been on the glove side. High glove.
And that's not good. And that's not good at all.
No.
Uh-huh.
It's not great, right? And look, I don't want to beat on Aiden Hill too badly here because really tonight wasn't on him. Like I didn't like this goal, but I thought he was fine tonight. Again, like none of this is ideal. The Sharks coming into this homestand where they've got a lot of big firing teams coming in on all cylinders, and none of this is ideal. With Reimer, with whatever's going on with Reimer, where he's not playing, at least he was backing up again tonight
Right.
instead of Melnichuk. Not that, not saying anything against Melnichuk, but obviously James Reimer not even dressing, that's concerning.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that he was back on the bench tonight. Hopefully he gets back in the net soon because again, like this is a stretch of really key games for the Sharks. And not that I don't think Reimer gets them. Like I don't want to come out and say like, oh, Reimer was in net, we win this game. Like, no, I don't think that's the case, but I think
he definitely gives you a better chance to win.
I think he gives you a better chance to win. Yeah, I think he's played better, and that's not to take anything away from Aiden Hill. It's just
Right.
James Reimer's been the better goalie, and I think when you have teams like this coming in, like the Flames, like the Wild, you have, Dallas is probably a team you want James Reimer in net for. You got Edmonton coming up, so like. James Reimer's been the better goalie. So obviously you want the better goalie in the net when the big when the big teams with a lot of firepower come into the building. That's the guy you want in net. So, I mean, all things considered, none of this is ideal, but I think Aiden Hill's handled himself well enough.
Yeah, I thought he's done a fairly decent job, especially, during the middle part of the road trip. I thought he looked fantastic. And then we saw the back, those few games where he lets in the early goal, but then he stands pat. Tonight, 22 saves, 880 save percentage. Again, I'm with you. I didn't think it was necessarily. You can point the blame on him.
No, I didn't like the third goal, but all things considered,
it wasn't that bad.
It wasn't a bad game for like you can't get mad at Aiden Hill when the Wild are dominating play for 2 periods of the game.
Yeah. I think it's just, it's tough to take and tough to see, where you've had these strong runs and then all of a sudden it's just kind of, okay, wait a minute. Now it's going back down again. So it's that roller coaster ride. So
yeah, I mean, it's like, again, it's not ideal, but it is what it is. Like, this isn't Aiden Hill's fault.
No. And I personally, it's a team one. I mean, you look at some of the stats on tonight, and I know plus minus is an iffy category to go to, but you look at Ferraro and Burns, Ferraro -2, Burns -3, and Ferraro didn't get out of 22 minutes tonight. Burnsy didn't even hit 23 minutes tonight, which in some ways, okay, good. Not well. You don't need Yay, they weren't 28 minutes or playing more than half the game, but at the same time, not good that Burns was on the ice for 3 of those 5 goals.
Yeah, I mean, Brent Burns is Brent Burns. Like, a couple of the things, like, I mean, I don't really blame him for the empty net goal. I haven't got there yet, but I'll hit it now. Like, I don't really blame him for the empty net goal. I think it was just 2 big dudes fighting for ice, and he just lost the battle, and that's gonna happen. Like, Greenway's a big dude. So I think, again, would you like Burns to win that battle? Yeah, but Greenway's a big dude.
Yeah, I mean those are, like you said, two big boys going at it,
Big
and
boys, yeah.
he barely got a touch of that puck to put it in to make it 4, or to make it 5, or no, excuse me,
No, it's a battle. I loved it.
4-2. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, because Kirill Kaprizov would make it 5-2, but before it got there, the Sharks were turning it on. They eventually outshot the Wild 19-9 in this one. After another Middleton penalty, you see Jonathan Dahlen get his 8th goal of the season to make it 3-1, and then of course
Yep.
the Wild take a couple of penalties, and then Tomas Hertl gets his 13th, so his 5th goal in his last 3 games. So good to see Hertl getting
Yeah.
skin on fire.
And I'm glad that they scored on the power play too, because like those last two the power play and that before that, like the Wild had to take those penalties. Like there's good penalties and there's bad penalties. And I thought the Wild took those, they took 2 penalties that stopped play and kind of thwarted some really good scoring chances for the Sharks. So when that happens, you want to make them pay for it, right? Because if they're gonna take a penalty to rob you of a good opportunity, which I think those are the penalties you want to take.
Yeah.
But you have to make them pay, right? You can't just let them mug you in front of the net with impunity. You want to make them, think twice about, well, are we going to trust Cam Talbot to make the save? I thought Cam Talbot was really good tonight. Cam Talbot's a guy who I don't have a ton of time for, but I thought he was fantastic tonight.
Yeah, let's talk about Cam Talbot, who's been on a crazy run of late. 5-0. I think he had an under 2 goals against in this run, where the Wild have just been gangbusters.
But I mean, you watch the Wild play, like you've seen like the Wild play tonight. I mean, it's easy to keep the puck out of your net when the team in front of you is controlling play, which the Wild have done really well this year.
Yeah,
and they did it tonight against the Sharks for almost perfection for 2 periods, and then even parts of the third. I thought the Wild were really, really good at controlling the play.
Yeah, they seem to just dominate, control, out hit, outshoot, outlast them a little bit more. You definitely saw who the Central Division leaders were tonight. But I'll give credit to the Sharks for the third period. But the other thing too is, and we've seen it in the chat already, where was this for the first 40? Was it just because Bob decided to blend the lines, or?
No, I think, score effects. I think the Wild were comfortably ahead, and they took, all teams do it. Like, I know we come on here and we scream about when the Sharks do it, but the Sharks aren't the only team that have a comfortable lead and take the foot off the gas in the third period, right? A lot of teams do that. A lot of teams will take a big lead into the third and start coasting a little bit.
And I definitely thought Minnesota was getting.
Yeah, they got a little complacent, and the Sharks, to their credit, really dug in.
Yeah. And Anthony mentioning, if the Sharks played a solid 60 minutes like they did in the third period, then the Burns play on the empty net would have happened. I think he meant wouldn't have happened in that case. Though I think they need to come out. They need to play a full 60. It seems like they've been a little lackadaisical, especially in the face-off circle. I've definitely have seen them kind of getting owned early on and then come back and just eventually dominate the rest of the way.
Yeah. I mean, the Sharks look at, again, I don't think I'd be very leery of trying to take credit away from the Wild where it's due in this game. But the Sharks do need to start on time.
Yeah, absolutely. Minnesota would go 2 for 3 on the power play tonight. Sharks would go 1 for 3. They get that one from Hertl that made it a 1-goal game, or as we affectionately like to call it around here, the teaser goal for that. But, definitely need to have some, and Walter Johnson saying it, depth scoring. They definitely need to have that help, and I think that's what Bugner was hoping to have from LeBanc. Being down in the second six and the third and fourth lines, just haven't had that luck yet. But they also need the top lines going too.
Yeah, I mean it's everyone's got to be pulling the rope at the same time, and that's been an issue for the Sharks this year. Unfortunately, is sometimes the top six is pulling the rope, sometimes no one's pulling the rope, sometimes it's just James Reimer all on his lonesome pulling the rope. So and tonight for a long time it was Adin Hill by himself holding the rope. So yeah, they got to get everyone pulling the rope at the same time.
# Teal together. That's all I'm gonna say. So we do have a few minutes left. We have a new feature if you're watching us live here on YouTube, our poll question, and we'll try to do one every post game here. So the one tonight, since it is stealth night, and we've already seen I think 3 comments about it, the black jerseys. I'm not going to pull up the record, but I think with the connotations in the chat, you could see already. Not so great. So what we wanted to ask, the best Sharks black jersey, was it the original one, the teal, this one here? Wait, where am I? There we go. The teal with the teal and white chevrons here, with the 3-tone numbers. Was it black armor with the full shark, without the triangle, or is it this stealth jersey that's just black and teal with the circuitry Easter eggs between the stripes?
See, I like the black armor, except for what's always soured me on the black armor was when that stretch where they just they're just hell bent on wearing it in the playoffs, and it always made me angry when they were in the playoffs. So I voted for the first one, but I think if I'm being honest with myself, it's probably the black armor, but they wore it in the playoffs so many times, and just it made me angry.
And I think, because it was the jersey worn for that one game and for that one series, 2014, that we try not to mention. It's tough to tough to.
Yeah, I don't know when Team Teal decides to be, Team Black and then lose to the Kings. I mean,
right. And then in 2011, I picture this: you're known as Team Teal, you're wearing black jerseys, and you're giving out orange towels for a playoff series against Detroit and Vancouver.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh boy. So we'll let that run for a few minutes as that happens. We'll get to your wraparound here in this one. The good news is the Barracuda didn't play tonight, especially after that nightmare of 10-1 to the Heat on Tuesday. So, that one was a tough one.
Yeah, that's not good, and I think the Barracuda definitely need help between the pipes. I think their goaltending hasn't really done them any favors this season so far, but I mean, it just, after kind of a loss like that, and you just look at this team, which I don't know. We'll see what it does, what it looks like next year, because obviously there's going to be more guys graduating next year that a lot of people are excited about to see what this team looks like. But I'm getting a little side-eyed at Roy Sommer again.
Again?
Well,
no.
I just wonder if I just look at this team and I just think this team's always been crap. Their farm team has generally always been crap, except for a hiccup here and there. But I don't know, man. I just think, again, Roy Sommer, winningest coach in AHL history. Yep. Also the losingest coach in AHL history too. And he was the losingest coach long before he ever hit the winningest part. I don't know. I think the Sharks, the thing is, there's a lot of talk on this channel about drafting, and I don't think there's enough conversation about developing, because that's the other half of the equation, right? You can draft all the great players that you want. If you can't develop them, then it doesn't matter. Yeah. And I don't think enough there's a lot of talk about drafting on this channel, and I don't think there's enough attention put on the other side of the equation, which is development. And I just don't think Roy Sommer's the guy for the job.
You can't disagree with that. I mean, for 23 years, you've been the top developmental coach of this club.
How many, so it's like, and it's like not even how many players, like how many coaches have left the Barracuda bench to move on to bigger and better things? Not very many, if any. Like who?
None that I'm aware of, first off. And secondly, if he's so great, why isn't anybody calling him up to get interviews for him? I mean, granted, I know he's a local boy from Oakland, and a lot of things. Of course, he was.
Yeah, but you're right. Like he's never been a guy where it's like, oh, this coaching vacancy, and they're talking about bringing an AHL guy in. I wonder if they'll call Roy Sommer. No, that's never been a thing that's been reported.
Right. So that's what I never understood about it. And it's like, I mean, kudos for being the winningest coach in AHL history.
Yeah. No, I'm not trying to beat up on Roy Sommer here. I just think that when you look at some of the development or lack thereof of some players, like it's concerning. Like we've got a lot of really decently touted prospects coming in. And if all those guys rot on the vine,
we're in big trouble.
Then what? Right. Exactly.
I mean, and here's the thing, the only time outside of the IHL Kansas City Blades, and we're going way back, outside of them winning a Turner Cup in the Sharks' first season, making it to the Turner Cup finals in '95.
Yeah, but that's that's forever ago.
Oh no, but my point here is that from Kansas City, Cleveland, Worcester, and the Barracuda, they've only made the third round once, and that was in 2017. And now, are we going to give the Cuda kudos for coaching up Meyer, LeBanc, who are on this team? We'll throw in Ryan Carpenter and Barclay Goodrow.
The list isn't very long.
I mean, they had a great run in 2017, but what's it got for you? You had a guy who was scratched, last game, and a guy who, he's been doing well this year, but there were times that we were calling out Timo Meyer's game last season.
Yeah, and Timo Meyer didn't spend a ton of time there. I think the problem is, right, and I don't think the problem is that when the Sharks have needed reinforcements, they almost always have to go outside the organization to get them.
Exactly. And they had to pay a premium for it too.
Sometimes for sure. I don't know. I mean, again, it was obviously a pretty rough game for the Barracuda. I just think with some of the players that are coming in, I just worry about, because it feels like the longer, and I don't want to sit here and we got to move on for this, but I just feel like the longer you sit in the AHL and don't get an NHL sniff, the worse guys are off for it.
Yeah. That's why I'm concerned about Ryan Merkley so much. I memean, he had a pretty decent 6 games up here with the Sharks filling in during the COVID thing, but
and I know a lot of people are like, oh, it just matters if they learn this. It doesn't matter if they win or lose. If you think that getting shellacked 10-0 is doing amazing things for your confidence, then I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
There's you want to foster a winning culture throughout your organization. You don't want guys just getting shellacked in the A.
Right. And losing to Abbotsford 6 or 7-2 last weekend, then Tuesday getting shellacked by the Calgary Flames minor league affiliate 10-1. That's not going to help things. And granted, and Kevin's mentioned they don't have a whole lot of depth on the forward side.
They don't. But still, right? It's one of those things where you just they need to. I just want to see the Barracuda do better.
Yeah.
And with some of the players that are coming into the system, I don't want it to be a gong show down there. That's all. All right, let's move on.
Let's move on. Sorry. Levi Hagano. I hope I'm saying that right, but thanks for watching. Crossing enemy lines. Wild fan here. Seemed like the Sharks were flat for the first two periods. Wild's forecheck was relentless the first two periods. Sharks really pushed back in the third, though. Yeah. No, I think that's a pretty good statement. Levi, thank you for watching.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
And please hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate it. So, moving onward to your wraparound in the Toronto Bay Maple Bolts scrimmage, Team White, otherwise known as the Tampa Bay Lightning, beat up on Team Blue, the Toronto Maple Leafs, 5-3 in this one. Palat had a pair of goals. Stamkos his 13th. Andre Kasha with 2 goals in this one. William Nylander with the other one in the loss for the Leafs.
Yeah, Lightning are rolling right now.
And this is without Braden Point and Kucherov. Go figure. Blackhawks would beat the Montreal Canadiens 2-0 as the Canadiens get their 19th regulation loss of the season. Jonathan Taves breaks out of his schneid, getting his first goal of the season. In that one, Fleury with the win there. Ducks, that's not one that helps the Sharks out in any form. Ducks win in a shootout 2-1 over the Blue Jackets, so the Ducks now are at 35 points. Sharks.
Yeah, Trevor Zegras is going to win the Calder, right? Like, I think we're all pretty much on this train now. Trevor Zegras is probably running with the Calder at this point.
It's Zegras versus Raymond, at least in my head. I mean,
Raymond too.
Dahlin was giving a run early on, but I think he's kind of calmed down quite a bit there. The Islanders lose again at home, 4-3 this time to the Nashville Predators. Colton Sissons, or as many Fanatics purchasers would say, Snossis, got his third this season there in the win for the Preds. The Blues 6-2 over the surprising Detroit Red Wings. Robbie Fabry with a pair of goals in the loss. Walker with the hat trick for the Blues in this one, as the Blues now go to 32 points. That one hurts the Sharks as well.
Yeah, the Red Wings are doing surprisingly well for a team that can't keep the puck out of their own net a lot. Right. Like their goal differential right now is like a -14. But yet they seem to continue to. They keep winning games.
Must be nice. Sebastian, your mom's not a hoe, with a pair of goals, as he is the lone goal scorer for the Hurricanes as they beat the Flames in overtime 2-1. Markstrom loses this one as Hannafin had the lone goal for the Flames. Leon
Sharks broke the Flames.
Right. That would be 2 teams, granted. I wonder when the jersey throw is going to go on the ice at the Saddledome. In Edmonton, Leon Draisaitl's 2 goals weren't enough as the Bruins avenged their loss in Vancouver last night, beating the Oilers 3-2 in this one. Brad frickin' Marchand with his 10th of the season, shorthanded. Jake DeBrusk, future Shark Jake DeBrusk?
Probably not.
Wishful thinking.
I would like that trade. I just don't think that trade helps the Bruins.
Gotcha. Bruins win 3-2 in that one. The Jets shut out the Kraken 3-2. Hellebuyck didn't hella suck. Neither did Kyle Connor with his 2 goals in the third period to put this game away for that one. The Kings, and this is another one that hurts the Sharks a little bit. Granted, they're still behind. The Kings win 4-0 over the Dallas Stars. Kempe, Kaliev, Arvidsson, and Athanasiou, your goal scorers, as Jonathan Quick gets a shutout against Dallas, and Dallas is the Sharks' next opponent on Military Appreciation Night.
Yeah, why do we always get teams that are just kind of coming like angry?
Hashtag that's so Sharks. I mean, come on, let's be real here. It always happens. The Stars streak, I think, ends at 7, so they'll be hungry coming into the Shark Tank on Saturday night.
It's crazy though, like for all the talk about like how we expected, like I still think like look, it's a lot of teams in Central are really, really good. But it's amazing how like everyone from the Kings up, Like they're all over 500, other than the Canucks and Seattle. Obviously, Seattle's terrible, and the Canucks are kind of they've won a couple now, but
Yeah.
after their shake up, that seems like that's kind of jolted them a little. But yeah, it's crazy. Like even the lowly Kings, who are in sixth, they're above 500, which is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean 11, 10, and 4. Nothing to shake off on for
Yeah,
this
no.
one. Now, so looking at the standings with the Sharks losing this one, I know Vegas won last night as well. So the little shakeup, the Sharks were the number one team in the Western Conference wildcard race when we signed off on you on Tuesday night. As of now, the Sharks currently sit number 4. That's how much it's changed, and that's how tight this race is.
Yeah.
And Colorado's got the number one wild card at 30. Vegas, with their win, jumped to 30. Winnipeg's win jumped them to 30. The Sharks sit at 29, with Dallas at 28 and LA at 26.
Yeah, it's going to be tight. Like this is going to be a fascinating. It's going to be fascinating because I think a couple of these teams are probably going to drop off, but not many.
No. I mean, we
one or two of these teams might drop off, but man, it's going to be tight.
We talked about Vegas probably running away with the Pacific. We thought Colorado or Winnipeg would definitely dominate. I'm not sure if they would lead the division in the Central, but those two teams. We thought Dallas would make a run for it as well, and we also thought LA was on the rise. I know that's AJ's surprise team.
Yeah, I think if I'm Rob Blake, I'm probably pretty happy with where I'm at right now. Like again, they're not great, but they're not terrible. Again, they're above 500.
Yeah,
they've got a positive goal differential. Not that that's super anything to write home about, but I think if you're Rob Blake, you're probably pretty happy. I don't know who Anaheim's GM is anymore, but I mean they must be ecstatic because I think a lot of people had LA, including me, had LA ahead of the Ducks in their rebuild. But I mean Trevor Zegras has just been unreal.
And throw in Troy Terry for Anaheim, who was on a ridiculous run not too long ago. For the Ducks to be at 35 points, that's something else. The tough part,
really good.
The tough part with the Sharks is that they've played 27 games so far. Everybody that I mentioned that's around them in the wild card race
has games in hand.
Yeah, Colorado has 4 games in hand. Vegas 2, Winnipeg 1, Dallas 3, LA 2. So
and that's why I've been really stressing how important these divisional games coming up are, because this is where you need to start not only taking points from those teams, but you got to start taking games in hand away from those teams too.
Yeah, it's those proverbial what we talk about 4-point games.
4-point games, yeah,
and not just the Pacific ones. Granted, the Pacific ones more so are important because of that top 3.
Oh, they're huge. But the
one coming up Saturday against Dallas, that's a big one too. For you, Levi. Thank you again for your comments. Really appreciate it. How has the Sharks' power play and goaltending been as a whole this season? Always like Hill in Arizona. Yeah,
power play's been okay.
It was on a good run, but it's just fallen off incredibly.
Yeah, it's been okay. I mean, the Sharks' offense is kind of feast or famine, and lately it's been a little more famine than feast. Goaltending, I think. Look, James Reimer has been unreal. Like I think the Sharks have gotten everything they want and more from James Reimer, and I think Adin Hill's been a little bit of an adventure. I think he has gotten better as the season has gone on, but he still has stunk up the joint a few times.
Yeah. So that's the latest with the standings and such. We're going to bring a close to the poll. So if you haven't joined us already, thank you very much. But the poll question again: what's the best Sharks black jersey? And 40% of you said it was the original one with the teal and white chevron stripes on there.
Good, so, it's a good sweater. I dig it.
I will say this though: Startup put out all those black fashion jerseys in the 90s, and there's rumors of reverse retro 2.0 for next season. I would love for them to grab the original jersey, make it black. I think that would be a huge hit.
If they make another gray jersey, I'm gonna throw
God,
stuff
if they
in.
make gray jersey,
Swear on camera.
Oh, we've heard you swear on camera.
It's true. That's true. I do. I do more than I should.
Well, that's not too bad. Oh, AJ, jeez. Yeah. Dean Evison. Where's my cursor? Dean Evison. Wild have 19 wins in 26 games. 30 years ago, in San Jose's first year of existence at the Cow Palace, Dean Evison's Sharks had 17 wins in 80 games.
That was a rough year.
Oh, Drew Remender would show off about, being an assistant coach to a team that had quicker to 100 losses than any other team in NHL history.
I mean, again, I think, for everything we've said tonight, I think the one thing that I do want to stress, though, is the Wild get full marks tonight. They were the better team. I think that there's definitely things that you wish the Sharks would have done differently and capitalized on differently, but full marks to the Wild, man. They showed why they're the top in the Central.
Yeah, and showed it off big with a 5-2 win.
Hell, top in the West, right? They showed why.
Yeah, big time. I mean, Minnesota's at 39, Calgary at 36. Yeah, they're doing their thing right now and dominating the West with their 8th straight win on this one. So that'll wrap it up for us tonight. In case you missed anything, or you want to watch this again, check us out on tealtownusa.com or your favorite podcatcher, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Hit that subscribe button. Really does do a lot for us in help expanding and supporting the show. We are also on SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio as well. And of course, again, always available at tealtownusa.com. So that'll do it for Ian and I. We'll be back with you Saturday night, Military Appreciation Night, as the Sharks take on the Dallas Stars, which means the return of Joe Pavelski. Yeah, we aren't going to get going on Pavs, but
whatever. I mean, it's been fucking 3 years. I'm over it.
I hope so.
I'm over it, man. I have no ill will. I have no ill will towards Joe Pavelski, but he's gone. It's done. It's done.
So
I'm not crying over it.
All right, I'm not crying over it. Although you did mention milk tonight, so let's not cry over spilt milk. So we'll be back with
spilt milk.
We'll be back with you on Saturday night as the Sharks take on the Dallas Stars. I will be here with I'm not sure who, but we'll make sure to make it fun and interesting as we go along this crazy, wild Shark season around all together. So with that, for Ian Reed, your final thoughts and where the people can find
you. I was going to try and say something about sour milk again or aging milk for the chat, but I drew a blank. You can find me at Ian Blogs Hockey on the Twitter machine. If you want to talk to me, come do it. I'm always usually pretty chatty on Twitter. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. I'm at PuckGuy14 on the Twitter, the Instagram. We will see you Saturday night following Sharks and Stars, as hopefully the Sharks get off this one-game losing streak and get back into the win column in a very tight and interesting Western Conference playoff race, which I think is kind of where we expect them to be. So,
give me back some James Reimer, damn it.
Please, for the sake of good milk, bring us back some James Reimer, please. Hashtag Reimer for Vezina. And until Saturday night, keep it real, keep it teal, keep it real teal. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you Saturday night.